Hello there. Welcome back to Billy Ho Sports. It's coming up on us this weekend, the Grade 3 Ohio Derby at Thistledown. It's running a mile and an eighth on the dirt. It's the track's biggest annual event. The race is a step up in class for some of these. So we got some locals. We're also drawing contenders from the Triple Crown Trail. So while it doesn't get the fanfare of the Kentucky Derby, which most don't, it serves as a pretty key summer test for some of the Midwest racing circuit. So if you are new to the show, I've been running a reoccurring split the pot contest. So basically, all the commenters, so if you leave a comment on my videos recently, and that includes the Ascot videos. So give them a look. Royal Ascot's running this week. It starts Tuesday, runs through Saturday. I got a couple of races out there. So the commenters for that video, the commenters for this video, and the rest of the Thistledown videos that I put together will all go into a draw. They go on the big wheel. We spin it. The winner gets a $20 bet on me that we split if we win. Easy enough. But to enter, you must be a subscriber to the channel. Click that like button in the comments section. Give me your favorite horse in this race, the Ohio Derby, and we are going to jump right into past performances and take a look at the field. Okay, it is the nightcap, race number 12, and post time 6:20 Eastern Standard Time, mile and an eighth on the dirt. You can see the start to finish, very similar around the oval. So, Grade 3 Ohio Derby for 3-year-olds. And we are going to start with Brereton's Baytown. And broke his maiden back in December at Charlestown. A couple races there. Kentucky Downs tried the turf once to no avail. And then goes out to Oaklawn Park and runs very, very mediocre in all the Derby prep races. Got killed in the Peter Pan. Then they decided to drop him down and run him right back 16 days later, like they saw something in the Peter Pan that looked really dope. So he gets his head caved in by ninth by 13 lengths. This horse is probably kind of like Thanksgiving, no class. So, Chunk of Gold. This is the one we're probably going to have interest in. Obviously, it's ranked number one in the Prime Power. Ethan West is the young trainer, just barely over 30 years old. Got a good little stable action going. Jareth Loveberry back once again to ride for the fourth time. This sucker was just really rocking and rolling with the seconds here. The Leonidas was on the all-weather going a mile, got beat by Baby Max there, then ran into Magnitude, who just destroyed him in the Risen Star, but ran a pretty good second place finish there. But I'll get to the trends here in a minute. Had the perfect trip in the Louisiana Derby, running this very fast pace, hit the stretch, and had no kick to out battle Tistastic, which I'm not really sure how I feel about that, but he got his best speed figure of a 98. That race right there is probably good enough to win this, but we'll have to see. Then he goes into the Kentucky Derby and really wasn't a terrible race. You could see he hit the stretch, making similar moves, but just in the slog fest that was the Kentucky Derby, he just didn't have the horse to compete with the top levels, so he fell back to ninth. So Chunk of Gold is an interesting one, but the lack of the closing kick in the two, well, in the Louisiana Derby specifically, because he had the perfect trip there on the inside rail, hit the stretch. You could see he was second by a half length, and they all went by the leader, so he was being passed, and then he lost ground to Tistastic coming home, and that's no bueno, losing ground to a slow horse like Tistastic coming home. But you could see like these huge fractions he's running, like 106, 118 in that race, 92, 103, and you see he doesn't have the late pace left to get there. So I think this time around he's going to get a better trip at a better pace, and it's going to be more in tune with the mid 80s to low 90s, and I think he's going to have enough closing kick to be competitive. Now, I'm not saying he's going to win the race, but I think this is going to be a golden opportunity for him to score a graded stakes victory here. So that takes us to Capoluca, and that is the number 3 horse, local horse. Last 3 races are 3 straight wins at Thistledown. You can see going a mile. So going to be stretching out, but I think that it's bred to do so. I think the extra eighth of a mile is not going to hurt too bad. Really just some pretty solid efforts across the board, and then the big 92. But I think he's rooting for the local 3-year-old. Probably the only horse that would crack my top 3 that I'm going to show you when we get to the end of the video. He's probably the fourth choice on the board and could maybe get in there and steal one if they get the local ride they need. But you can see just outclassed with the comparison to the races some of these other ones have been in, like McAfee. And that's Rick Dutrow and Johnny V coming back on for this one. He rode Johnny V, got him right where he wanted him. So the late bloomer, it seemed to have a little trouble competing after the second place here. You can see the back to back fifths and was just not popping when trying to come from off the pace and just had no kick. And then you can see that B right there. They added the blinks for this race here, and it made all the difference in the world. He was really cranking. I mean, all three races at Aqueduct, so he made a big turnaround, ran a 93 speed figure, and just pressed hard on Captain Cook the whole way around, and then was able to put that foe away down the road, and then was not able to prevent Hill Road, from getting him at the finish. So probably wise move skipping the Belmont because we saw Hill Road, who ran so-so in that race and didn't have much. He just wasn't good enough, and I don't think McAfee would have been good enough either. So I think that the same tactics he showed in the Peter Pan should work well here and give him a good chance to win himself. So moving on to extradition, number 5. This one is a bit of a head scratcher. Third to Capo Luca last out. 1-2 races back versus allowance companies, and it's another local, and maybe he does have some stakes experience and a little bit bigger gun runner sired. So I can see why people might look at him, but just doesn't have the speed figures to compete versus these, in my opinion. So here's Clever again. This is the one we've been waiting to see how he come back, if he's going to need a therapy after that trauma he suffered at the hands of journalism. But basically, he broke the maiden in February at Oaklawn Park. Then he came out next in the Hot Springs and crushed them wire to wire in fashion and defeated horses like Gaming and Perfect Force. And he was really sharp in that race, which led to the step up to the Grade One Preakness. And he shot out from post 8 to the lead, set some pretty good early fractions, went 100, 112 for E1, E2. And you can see positive 46 for the half mile, going going a mile and 3/16. And then they hit the stretch, and he was already tiring. So I'm not going to say he would have won the race if it wasn't for journalism. He would have probably finished fourth as he was losing ground. Gosker was going to go by regardless. He had a perfect stalking trip on him. And then you watch journalism squeeze through there and check into it practically checked him right into the rail. Basically, it was a relief that he came out of the race not without an injury. So, but mentally, it's hard to say how he came out of that race because I don't know if he'll come out a little more tentative or if he does move forward or has any kind of improvement at all. The American Pharaoh is the sire, and then you have a big 10.5 average wind distance on the dam side. So the distance should not be a problem. And I do like the early speed he showed at Pimlico in just his fourth start. So the fifth start for Clever again could be the Bing pot coming up on here. Jose Ortiz is probably like the reason why he's like 8-5 favorite morning line. So Bohemian Style is going to round out the field, and that's another one I just really didn't even look at that much coming out of the claiming ranks. Yet to crack an 80 speed figure in any race. He gets my vote for DFL. Whoever's going to finish, if you want to pick a horse to finish last, I think that one's the one I'll take. And then we have Curvino, which is the 8 horse. And this one's kind of intriguing. He ran in the Jeff Ruby Stakes, didn't do all that great, improved position somewhat. Started his career with 3 straight turf races and was pretty good on the turf. I think if maybe things don't work out here, Peter Miller might consider pushing this one back over to the turf to see what would happen because you can see just missed breaking the maiden by a head, and then third and then fifth after that. Did break the maiden in the 100K maiden claiming at Oaklawn back in December on a muddy track. Looks like if we did get an off track, he would improve because those are 2 really good outings on an off track. You can see the second place right here at 150K was in the slop. So Carvino seems to like that slop. I didn't see a whole lot of rain in the forecast, so that probably doesn't favor him that much. He gets off kind of slow and ran through 23:47. He moved pretty good down the stretch, but no factor in that last optional claimer. You can see he ran fifth, but that was against Hypnus, which Hypnus was kind of finding his groove. So Curvino probably maybe one of those I would waffle with the other local horse that I mentioned earlier about maybe a fourth choice. I mean, Mike Smith getting the mount, probably going to get a good fair ride out of him, and he can close with some pretty good. So if there is some kind of like pace meltdown, then he'll be there, maybe picking off tired horses. Master Controller is the ninth. Didn't show much as a 2 year old. Did crack the maiden right here for 100K, making the 2025 debut at Churchill Downs, going 6.5 furlongs. You can see the average win distance 6.6, so it's kind of pushing it a little bit that this horse will get a mile and an eighth. So we'll have to see. But early speed, I don't think he gets there. I think he's going to be wore out and fading in the stretch. Round out the field with a other interesting horse, Moplex. Super through his 7 starts, 4 wins, a second, and 2 thirds, always on the board. 3 straight coming in to start his career before running a nice third in the Grade One Champagne, and you can see he's just moving up to a mile here, and then he goes back to 7 furlongs to win the Bay Shore. I think this horse is much better at 7 furlongs, maybe a mile at the most, like he did in the Gander, than he would be going any further than that. You can see 6.2 average win distance from the complexity sire. I think that it's going to be a tall order for him to get the distance, but he does have comparable speed figures, and if he does manage to stretch out, could be good value, I would say. So anyway, to sum things up, that rounds out your field. This Thistledown is a fair track, pretty much. I mean, it doesn't always favor speed, and it doesn't always favor closers. But I prefer early speed, tactical speed in these races. I remember watching last year's, and as we fade out, I'll show you last year's win by Batten Down, who broke out to the lead and just rock and rolled. Inside posts do seem to be favored a little bit, which would help Chunk of Gold for another perfect trip. And Chunk of Gold is good enough to win this. He shouldn't have to run so hard, like I mentioned earlier, like he did in the Louisiana Derby. Now McAfee is right there as well in the 4 slot. His tactical pressing style should keep things honest. Clever again is probably going to default to the lead as the wild card. So I think if he came out of the Preakness without PTSD, like I mentioned earlier, I think he could do similar to what Batten Down did. Batten Down set really, really fast early fractions. It was like 22.86 and then 46.82 for the half. But nobody was pressing him. He had a comfortable like 4 or 5 length lead. So Junior Alvarado just kind of slowed things down for that third quarter, and he ran a 26-second third quarter, and that left him with enough gas in the tank to hold off the foe others to the wire. Capo Luca might run a monster, but I'm looking at a 3 horse trifecta box, 2, 4, and 6. Like it's going to be Chunk of Gold, and then it's going to be Mo or McAfee, sorry, and then obviously Clever again. I think is going to be my top choice to win. I think Clever again can get out on the lead this time, and I think if he moves forward fitness wise a little more, I don't think the distance will be a problem for the American Pharaoh uh, son. And so I think he can take this to the house. So give me a trifecta box, 2, 4, 6. Maybe Moplex might be an underneath play for like the third leg. Like he could maybe hang on for a slice, but I don't think he gets the distance. So that's going to do it for your Ohio Derby preview. I'll be back later in the week with more racing action. We've got other stakes races on Thistledown Saturday. Remember, all the commenters to these videos that are current subscribers will go into the split the pot bet. The draw will be sometime this week. The winner is going to get a $20 bet on me that we place together, and we split the pot if we win. So make sure you click that like button on your way out, and we'll catch you later.